Prepare small items to manipulate the position of a slice and an anchor. The round end of the platinum wire must be shaped to touch the inner edge of the chamber bottom as possible. Perform a preliminary run of the perfusion system. Pull both ends of the dedicated tubing equally when fitting on the peristaltic pump. And then adjust the tubing position in order to touch the center of the cam. Fit the outlet and the inlet tubing on the pump one by one. Rotate the pump head to perfuse ACSF in correct direction. Tilt the inlet dropper to prevent bubble from getting into ACSF. Check if ACSF filling to immerse the entire platinum wire and flow out from the outlet pipe. At the beginning of the first operation of the day, ACSF tends not to flow out to the pipe until the level is higher. Once ACSF starts to flow out to the outlet pipe, the level gradually goes down to the height of its slit hole. Air bubbles start to regularly mix into the flow. Start supplying carbogen gas to the cap at this point. After filling the inside of the entire tubing with ACSF in the preliminary run, check the baseline potentials under perfusing by using a MED probe only, without a slice. After confirming the normal baseline potentials under perfusing ACSF, move on to data acquisition using a hippocampal slice. Transfer a slice from recovery chamber into a MED probe with a small amount of ACSF using the pipette with the tip cut. Move the floating slice to the center by a paintbrush if needed. Aspirate all the ACSF inside the chamber to make easier to adjust the slice position by a paintbrush. Never touching the hippocampal region and electrodes directly, move the slice position to 64 electrodes at the center. Place a piece of mesh on the slice after adjusting the slice position. And then put the anchor on the mesh to surround the hippocampal region with its shape. Not placing it on the hippocampus directly. Take a photo of the hippocampal region for reference on electrode number to stimulate. Mount the MED probe on the MED connector. Fix the top unit by tightening the two screws simultaneously. Put the perfusion cap on the chamber and start perfusing ACSF. The procedures from transferring a slice into the MED probe to here must be performed as possible as quickly. As the flow of ACSF in the chamber stabilizes, the baseline potential also stabilizes. Here, just wait for at least 10 to 15 minutes until the slice firmly attached to electrodes. This is because the detected potential is larger as it attached to electrodes more. Slow potentials look like EP ranging tens milliseconds may be seen at specific channels during this waiting time. And that may be kind of a benchmark how good the slice condition is. On the other hand, fluctuation seen simultaneously at all channels may be artifact due to perfusion. By applying a pulse current with 0.2 milliseconds of width and -10 microamperes of intensity, over at least 300 to 500 microvolts of potential would be expected. If the procedure's up to here is no problem. At this scene, stimulation was performed without waiting long enough. Evoked potential was observed, but the amplitude was not large enough to go ahead with the assay. Start with the preliminary run of perfusion system prior to the experiment. The inlet dropper is slightly tilted to prevent air bubble from getting into ACSF flow. At this stage, to avoid spilling ACSF over MED connector by bad perfusion, use MED probe without mounting on it. Check the liquid level to see if the entire platinum wire is immersed in ACSF. After confirming normal perfusion, mount MED probe on MED connector and check the baseline potential under perfusion. In addition to electrodes, check if the insular layer is damaged at around perfusion pipe. Transfer a slice from recovery chamber into a MED probe with a small amount of ACSF using the pipette with the tip cut. Move the floating slice to the center by a paintbrush if needed. Aspirate all the ACSF inside the chamber to make easier to adjust the slice position by a paintbrush. Never touching the hippocampal region and electrodes directly, move the slice position to 64 electrodes at the center. Place a piece of mesh on the slice after adjusting the slice position. In this scene, the mesh was placed on the slice and then the slice position was adjusted. The slice position may shift slightly at the moment the mesh is placed. After mounting the probe on the connector, tighten 2 screws simultaneously to fix them. Put the perfusion cap on the chamber and start perfusing ACSF. Tape the cap to prevent wobble. Electrodes may be damaged by accident when trying to remove the slice by a paintbrush. Flush with ACSF to float and scoop it. Pour DDW toward the ring side, avoiding electrodes by a wash bottle. Shake it to wash. Repeat it a few times. Put the washed probe in the bottle or the beaker filled with DDW, close the lid and store it in the refrigerator.